let's talk about when I was asked to sing in a play. Now, I'm not a singer. I can carry a tune, but a world-class singer I'm not. I was called to an audition for a musical called Ladies in Waiting. It was a very interesting piece. Several women, I think we were like 9 or 10 women, who were waitresses at a resort hotel in Miami Beach. And what goes on behind the scenes, and what goes on with the customers, and the life problems and joys of the different characters. Well, I knew it was a musical. I didn't go out to audition for it. I was called, and I said, well, I don't sing. And they said, they want actors for that role. It was the star of the piece. She was supposed to be retiring, and they said she's not in such good shape health-wise, so you don't have to sing well. So I took my courage in my hands and I went to the audition. All the women have sheet music, they have accompanists. I don't even know what a bar is in music, but they asked me to sing one of the songs. Afterwards, I was so nervous. The playwright and the composer came up to me and he said, I like your little quivering soprano. It suits the character well. I got the part, and it was fun. We had this large cast of women. We got along well. We were playing at the Woodstock old historic courthouse, which was changed into a theater. And it was a wonderful community welcoming us as actors. In fact, Sam and I rented rooms in a gingerbread, Victorian, beautiful old house. And the show was running during the time of my birthday. Sam made a birthday party for me on the lawn, including all the cast. And it was a wonderful summer. Then we moved to Chicago because it was so successful. We moved to the Civic Theater, which is now used as a rehearsal space for lyric opera. But it was a separate theater, but decorated the same way as the lyric. Beautiful Art Deco. It was a lovely theater. And we had an engagement there, but it did not go so well in Chicago. I don't think it was the play. I think it was the lack of promotion from our new producer. But it was a lovely experience. After that, I was also asked to sing at the Lyric Opera, if you please. The impresario called in Mansouri, Maestro Mansouri, who directed the San Francisco Opera, to direct The Merry Widow at the Lyric. It was at the time when they did a summer series of lighter operettas, and Mansouri said he wanted actors for the 3 comic roles. He didn't care about the singing, he wanted actors for those roles. So I was called into audition. I got the part of Madame Praskovia, got to wear gorgeous costumes, only had to sing in ensemble, and the part was directed by Mansouri, was delightful because he added flourishes that the other productions didn't have. He taught us to walk like this. It was all the women would do that at the can-can scene. And then one of the scenes was during the masquerade party. I, as Madame Praskovia, a very woman who was full of herself, wore a harem costume. Very glamorous indeed. Now the tenor, very handsome young Frenchman, in the scene is lying on a hammock in the garden. I am under the impression, as Madame Praskovia, that he has flirted with me. I thought I saw a sign with my fan. It was meant for somebody else, but I thought it was meant for me. So I approached him in the garden and leaped upon him on the hammock. Well, the audience went wild screaming because they never saw things like that at the Lyric Opera. And it was so much fun. But the most interesting thing about that engagement was, during one of the performances, I lay down in the dressing room. We had gorgeous dressing rooms, not like theater in Chicago off loop in the neighborhoods. I lay down on the divan, and the maid comes in and she says, "Madame, is something wrong?" I said, "I've got a stomachache, little cramps." Well, unbeknownst to me, she goes to Ardis Kranick, who is the director of the opera, of the whole Lyric Opera institution. Ardis Kranick calls for a doctor in the house. Not out loud, but I guess they have ways of knowing where the doctor sits. And he came to sit in the dressing room with me and diagnose my case. And I said, "Oh, it's nothing. I think I've been taking an antibiotic for my sore throat, and I think it just didn't agree with me because I didn't eat lunch." Well, they called my husband to come and get me. He gave me a prescription where we're ordered to stop at a drugstore and get it. And the next morning, someone on staff called to ask how Madame was doing. Can you imagine? We were never treated like that. You know, when I did these little off-loop theaters, sometimes we even had to share a toilet with the public. We had to cart our own furniture off after a scene. And here, Madame is asked, "Would you like me to launder your hosiery now?" Oh, how those opera stars are treated. Even in the fanciest productions of theater in New York, you don't get that kind of treatment. Backstage were long tables on either side of the theater with every kind of a snack and nibble and throat spray and medication that any of the singers might think they needed during the performance. There were all kinds of little fruits and little fruit juices and tonics, and it was like fairyland how they were treated. Well, one night, the star of The Merry Widow, the diva, we were invited to some sort of a doing at a restaurant in Chicago, and she didn't have a ride. I offered her one because my husband was always waiting for me. And she wraps her throat around, you know, and gets all ready. And we go downstairs, and Sam had locked himself out of the car. He was so excited taking the diva. What to do? He didn't tell us. He ran inside, he found help, got a coat hanger, and fortunately was able to open the door. And we never had to tell the opera singer what had happened.